Well, hey everybody, Andy here. Thanks for joining me today. And today I'm hiking the Adventure Hiking Trail in southern Indiana. And if you stick with me, I'm going to show you all the things that you need to know about hiking this trail. We're going to show you where are the best places to put water stops, what all the campsites look like, along with, of course, our adventure on trail. So stick with me. And if you're new to the channel, this channel is all about backpacking, outdoor adventures, and gear. Most definitely gear, and a few tips and tricks along the way. So if any of those things interest you, consider subscribing, and then you'll be alerted every time I post new content. And there is a lot of new content coming, so sit back and relax, and let's dive right in. So the first thing we did is we explored all around the state park and state forest to find the best spots to do our water stops and to figure out where exactly we wanted to park. So we ended up doing our water stops, coming back to the campground and parking just at the main gate of the campground. So this is what that overflow lot looks like. And there's plenty of spots to park here, and there's also a overflow lot just outside the campground called the Sassafras, I believe is the name of the shelter. So there's plenty of spots there that you can park and then hike down. We are going to connect to the trail starting at the Horseman's Camp here on kind of the west side of the property, and we're going to loop in a counterclockwise route. So Brent's with me. We're getting all packed up, loaded up here at the car, and we'll get on our way. And then we've got another gentleman that'll be joining us later tonight. He's going to hike in and meet with us. We're going to start here at the campground and hike into the Ohio shelter, roughly about 4 miles or so. It is about 7 o'clock. I think with the time change it's 6 o'clock, so we've got about two and a half hours to get down there. So 4 miles, 2.5 hours, plenty of time, but we want to get going so that again, we're not fighting daylight, finding our way down there. So stick with me, we'll check back in later. To Pioneer Shelter. It says 1.6 miles. Do you concur?
I mean, the sign does say to go that way.
Alright, well, you can go that way if you like, but I'm not following you.
So I think I'm getting us lost on the trail, so I'm going to go to the back of the pack.
Right.
Before I really get us lost.
Uh-oh. So the plan is to hike this in 3 days. We're going to start tonight. It's about 7 o'clock. So we have a couple hours till camp for the night. Then we have a big day tomorrow. And then the following day, complete the loop, hike back to the campground, and be done. This is what we're calling one of the stages of the Indiana Triple Crown. So we did the Tecumseh in April. We're doing the Adventure Hiking Trail this week. And then the goal is to complete with the Knobstone Trail here as we get to the end of the fall this year. So that's the goal. The Adventure Hiking Trail is known for being similar to the Knobstone in that it's brutal. Lots of vertical gain in a relatively short period of time. This one also throws the lovely bonus of being bone dry most of the year. So you have to carry your water and cache it, which is why I thought I'd share the information of how we went about choosing our water cache spots. We wanted to spread them out. There's multiple different road crossings that you can use, and we also used one of the trail crossings and hiked down one of the side trails just to leave water, because again, we wanted to spread them out so they weren't on top of each other. Two of the road options at Old Forest Road, I think, and 462 are relatively close together, so having water stops at both wasn't hugely valuable to us. So we wanted to find another spot further west, spread them out a little bit so we can go a few miles and then hit the next water stop.
New tidbit information: expect a lot of spider webs in your face if you're the lead guy.
That's why he's in front. That's why he gets paid the big bucks. So this section from the Horseman's Camp down to the Pioneer Shelter, and then up the other side to the Ohio Shelter will be our section for tonight. And then tomorrow we'll do from the Ohio Shelter through the saddle section of the trail, which has a lot of incline decline, about 8 miles or so, over to Indian Creek Shelter for the night. And then the final day we'll do Indian Creek Shelter all the way back around the north side, past the old iron bridge on the northwest side, and then loop back to the Horseman's Camp and back up to the car. So excited to do this. We've been looking forward to it, and we know it's going to be brutal and test us, but it should be a lot of fun. I'll check back in later. Well, we're hitting the first road crossing, and this is where we stopped, cached. There were a couple cars here when we were here. It's all cleared out. This is the Pioneer Picnic Shelter. Let's get a closer look. So this is our first water cache here at the Pioneer Picnic Shelter. It's about 2.3 miles from the car, so a little bit shorter than that from the actual trailhead, but it's a good first stop. We just dropped 1 liter here, so we're carrying 2 liters. I've polished off about half a liter because it is still pretty warm tonight, and you know, I'm in pants and a long sleeve shirt, even as light as they are. Because the ticks have been reportedly so bad down here. So we're just going to pick up 1 liter, so we'll each be carrying about 3 liters, 2.5 liters or so, and we'll carry that on to the Ohio Shelter for tonight. Howdy there, little guy. View from up above. That's that first creek bed we crossed. And we're climbing the other side. Holy cow, that's like Spiderweb Alley back there. I think I only took it in the face about 10 times. We're going up this climb towards the Ohio Shelter. It's nice, but it's just steady. We've got a ways to go too. It's a nice little clearing here. Looks like somebody's come in here and cut down the grasses. It's not so overgrown, this section. It's been pretty well maintained for the most part, all the way through. Oh, what do we got here? Wonder if this is home for the night. Somebody's here.
right with you.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I don't need the shelter. I just.
Trailside bean and burrito and ice cream sandwich.
I got the tortillas.
I do. I'm not skimping tonight.
Oh man.
Well, good morning, everybody. Had a great night last night. Got a squirrel going crazy in the background. We had fun sitting by the fire. Met a new friend, Paul. Shout out to Paul. Here at the Ohio shelter. And I thought first thing this morning here, as we're just getting up, is give you a quick little video tour of camp so that you can see what the Ohio shelter area has to offer. So let's go take a look. All right, we're getting packed up. It's about 10:25 here. Everything's loaded up. I'm getting the packs on. I think we're ready to head out from the shelter and head down to Cold Friday, where we've got a water drop and a couple gallons there to load back up, and then hike on through the, well, we've got to do the saddle today, and all the way to Indian Creek shelter on kind of the southeast corner of the loop. So we've got about 8 miles today. It's definitely toasty. I had to roll up the sleeves and take the pant legs off these, go into shorts, because it's already a little toasty. And I'm down to my last half liter of water, so that's got to last me 2.5 miles or so down to the water stop. Should be fine. So had a great night. This is a great little site. Lots of room here, lots of space to stretch out. If you're not inside the cabin, if you're setting up camp around, there's plenty of flat spots for tents, plenty of spots for hammocks for many people. You know, we met another gentleman here last night. There probably could have been 10 more people out here easy and not had a problem. So, any thoughts, Mr.
Bunny ears.
Mr. Bunny Ears?
Nope. Ready to get on trail and have some fun.
I hear that. So let's do it. Let's load up. You can kind of see the river down here below us. We're going to hike along this most of the day. But yeah, this would be probably pretty spectacular to do in the early spring or fall and winter after the leaves are down. See that view of the Ohio River and Kentucky on the other side?
All right, here we go.
Remember, it's an adventure.
I see that.
You feeling adventurous?
My calves are feeling pretty adventurous right now.
You feeling the adventure now?
I am. Let me try to run up it.
Yeah, we should run every hill. I hear there's only one or two.
Yeah. Let me expend all my energy at the start of the day.
20-minute break.
Oh. I guess I did.
What kind are you? Yep, no switchback, just straight up.
Just go straight up the hill. A couple rocks here and there.
Watch out for snakes.
Nope, nope.
All right, so we have made it to Cold Friday Road. We came down the trail here behind me, which leads up to the Ohio Shelter. Came down, hit Cold Friday Road, which this section, as it crosses, is just a gravel path. And a lot of people will use this to cache water. So as you can tell, you know, there's just water drops here, and then you've got a creek bed on the other side that's what I hear mostly dry year round. And a lot of people will stash water over there, so you can see we've got, we're just all our jugs out, we're refilling, taking a little break here at Cold Friday Road. And just another piece of information, as you go just a little bit down past the trailhead to the horse trail, there's also a lot back here, just a small one. You can probably fit, 4 cars, something like that. So if you wanted to use this part of the trail, this trailhead, as your starting point, stopping point, you can park right there. There's plenty of spots here at the trailhead. For the AHT, there's really not much here. So, but you can use that down the trail. I just wanted to show everybody so they could see what this road intersection looks like, so that you can plan for it. This road, this part of the road is gravel. Probably the last quarter of it, but 3/4 of it is paved. So it's a long drive down here, but well worth it, because there's just not many spots on this side of the trail to get water. So that's where we came from, and we're gonna head up that way. You can see the blaze over by our stuff. Heading up that climb towards, I think it's Homestead, Shelter, and then eventually Indian Creek. Now also, we're going to continue to show you all the other campsites as we pass them, and all the other road crossings, so that you can see what the possible water caching spots look like. And even the one at the very end, we found one that isn't on the map that not many people have talked about as another option for where to cache water on the northwest side, to kind of break it up. So that might be very useful. If you found it useful so far, go ahead and smash that like button. I appreciate all the support. Thanks so much. We'll check back in a little bit. So a little ways up from Cold Friday, we found the tree-marked pond. And there's a couple blue blazes up behind it, so I think this is that little bog. And you can just go up and take a peek.
Thank you.
Yes, if you were stuck, but that would clog my filter in record time. See the old foundation here. This is the old Marshall Pate Homestead. He said he was tired of switchbacks and he just wished that they would make a trail go straight up the side of a cliff like 3 minutes ago.
Be careful what you wish for.
Do you mind coming back down and getting my pack? Well, I think this might be the first actually semi-usable water source. A couple little pools. The water's running a little bit, just a trickle. Hello, little guy. Alright. So here's a primitive shelter. You got some flat area over there. You've got the shelter and the fire ring. And then you got some spots over here that you might be able to string up some hammocks maybe. Throw a tent down. Back in here. Trail comes up where Brent is and heads on that way, back behind the shelter. I see the shelter up ahead. Pretty great day on trail. I'm sitting here warming up some water for my Mountain House chili mac for dinner, and then an ice cream sandwich for dessert. Good distance. I'm definitely tired. We got into camp, talked to some of the folks that were here already, got our gear set up, and then I was out. I went and took a nap for, I don't know, at least an hour or something. And then Brent followed suit, I think, shortly after, because I woke up and he was snoring away. So we were both sawing logs there for a little bit. So got up. It's 8:20. Gonna get some dinner cooked now. Enjoy that. Relax. It's a nice little campsite. It's not real large, but you can probably fit, a few different groups, maybe outside and a group inside. And my water is boiling, so I want to turn that off because I am squeezing every bit of fuel out of this canister. I didn't want to bring a new one. I thought I'll bring an old one, which I think, based on my calculations, had maybe 4 boils left. If you're getting about, I forget what the calculation was, something like 4 or 5 grams of fuel per boil. Then I was right at about 4. So I'm not sure how many you guys get out of your canisters, but I'm trying to squeeze 4, so I've got enough for coffee tomorrow. If not, Brent said he'd loan me his, but if I can, I'm gonna get through and just do my one lonely little canister and make it through the trail. So, and then I think we're gonna do a fire tonight and sit by the fire and just relax and enjoy. Great section of trail, loved it. Going through the saddle, Cold Friday Road, and then from there on, it was definitely very buggy from a tick standpoint once we got past Cold Friday Road. So there were, gosh, we lost count. It was so many, and some of these ticks are microscopic. I mean, they're so tiny. So there's the big ones and a mix of deer ticks and Lone Star ticks. We found both, and then just tiny ones that you can barely see. I actually put my pant legs back on. I was gonna go shorts today because it was warmer and we hadn't seen many ticks the first day. But holy cow, once we started seeing them, it was constant through that section of trail between Cold Friday Road and here at the Indian Creek shelter behind me. So unfortunately, the word is from the 2 groups that we passed tonight is that the section of trail that we're headed to is also pretty bad with ticks also, the northern section. So, oh well, we'll just have to deal with it. But I will be hiking with pants on again tomorrow. It's definitely hotter, it's more uncomfortable, but having pants that are treated with permethrin, man, they were rocking. Ticks would jump on me, and a lot of cases before I even had a chance to brush them off, they were jumping off themselves or falling off. So they were not big fans of the permethrin. So I'm a big fan of that stuff, highly recommend it. So I showed a little bit of camp. I'll take some more pictures in the morning when there's a little better light, but gonna enjoy it. Well, I'll check back in later with more. So for tonight, I am having an adventure meal, fitting for the adventure trail, chili mac with beef. And I've got a little Cholula, I might throw that in too, we'll see. Well, good morning, everybody. We made it through another wonderful night. It was about 65 degrees last night. Not too bad at all. We had another group here with us at camp. They packed up and hit the road pretty early. They were up right around 6 o'clock. As the sun was starting to come up over the hill, I heard them get up and start packing up stuff. So we woke up around 7:40, and they were already gone at that point in time. So we're just having some breakfast right now. We've got a big day on trail, so we really want to get going. We've got about 11, 12 miles left, something like that. But we're in pretty good shape. Feel pretty good. I woke up with still 2 liters of water left from the water drop yesterday. If you hear, there's this massive oak tree that's been dropping acorns all night, and there's a tin roof on the shelter behind me, so you would just hear something falling through the leaves and just slam off the tin roof last night real loud. And it's just these acorns from this massive oak tree. Just every 2 or 3 minutes one comes down. We're hoping we don't get hit in the head by one of them. So we're gonna get packed up. We're just finishing coffee and breakfast, and we're gonna hit the trail. I'm gonna put the I'm not going to wear shorts today. I'm going to go back and wear pants, just because the rumor that the section we're going to has quite a few ticks again. So we were brushing them off this last section between Cold Friday and here. It was pretty bad. You know, we probably went through a 3 or 4 mile stretch where we were stopping every 200 yards because somebody had a tick on them that they had to take off. So it was pretty slow going. Hopefully today is a little faster because we've got to finish the whole second half of the loop and get to the car and then drive home. So a lot of hours, a lot of miles to crank out. So I will check back later once we're getting on trail. All right, so I thought I'd do a quick camp tour. So first we'll do my setup today. I am rocking, that's the Dutchware Chameleon with the bug net, and I've got a 40-degree hammock gear Phoenix, which is the 3/4 length underquilt, and then I've got a UGQ 50-degree top quilt that's hanging there, and then I have the hammock gear DCF tarp, the standard with doors, that I haven't had to use all trip, so it's nice to just kind of keep it rolled up. And then I use the Dutchware, just the beetle buckles, which have been great and easy just for a strap. And then I know it's extra weight, but I've just been rocking a carabiner on the end just to make the attachment to the trees about as stupid easy as I can make them, because that's what I want. And then Brent, what do you got rocking today?
This trip was first trip in a Dream Hammock Darien. It's an 11-foot hammock, asymmetrical right lay, since that's the way that I lay. For quilts, I have an Enlightened Equipment Revolt short 30-degree underquilt, and then Enlightened Equipment Enigma 50. The pair worked out perfect for this trip. I wasn't too hot, wasn't too cold. It worked out awesome. For suspension on the hammock, just standard cinch buckles, so nothing fancy, easy, tried and true, works great. And for a tarp, like you said, haven't had to use it all trip, but do have it up for right now. I've got the new Mountain Laurel Designs asymmetrical DCF hammock tarp. And then I've got the hammock gear snakeskin on it too.
And have you liked it so far? Using the hammock for the first time?
It's been great. Super, super, super comfortable. Really, really enjoyed sleeping in it. A lot more so than any other hammock I've been in, but this was my first hammock that was truly designed to be slept in. And we're getting pelted by acorns again.
And the blue is pretty sharp. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you got the organizer. Pretty cool. That's the Dream Hammock. Awesome.
Dream Hammock Darien.
Baby shark doo 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 doo, baby shark doo doo.
McAfee knob. You do a handstand or something.
Yeah.
That moss is kind of pokey.
Yeah, I like it when it's like this and not so overgrown.
Yeah, except for spider webs.
Yeah.
I like it like this.
This little random bench somebody built here, trail side. This section here is pretty overgrown. We'll have to stop and do a tick check after this. We are here at Old Forest Road. We've got this section. The trail comes up from that direction if you're coming from Indian Creek Shelter. It's right out here. There's a little parking lot here, or a little gravel drive kind of thing with a gate. Let me show you what that looks like. So you got it padlocked, and the trail just kind of cuts through here. Spider web. And then the trail goes off on the other side down there. So you've got this section up here where a lot of people will do their water drops. They'll pull into this lot, and we did the same thing, just threw them back in the woods a little bit behind a tree out of the way. Lots of other people have water here too. But this is Old Forest Road. This is what it looks like. .1 to the next major road crossing. It's pretty tight through here. Some thorns, a lot of spider webs. We haven't noticed a whole lot of ticks yet on this section of trail just yet. On our way from Old Forest to 462. It's just a brief 2-mile stretch, but parts of it are a little tight. It's hard not to brush up against a lot. We're stopping here for just a quick breather. Get a drink of water. We're on the climb back up to 462 from Old Forest Road. It's just a 2-mile stretch, but the first mile of it was mostly a pretty steady decline, and then the return to 462 seems to be a pretty steady incline. So sweating like crazy, and this pack doesn't breathe a whole lot, so my back is just, it's like I jumped in a pool. It's completely saturated. So every chance I get to stop just to kind of take it off, slide it to one side, let it breathe a little bit, let this breeze do its thing. But otherwise, this section's been very beautiful. We haven't noticed many ticks at all on this section of trail. There's nobody out here still. The trail's pretty well marked. It's a little overgrown in spots, which is just kind of normal for, you know, summertime growth without a ton of use is kind of what it screams to me. So maintenance has been pretty good. You know, a lot of the down trees have been cut up. There's been very little obstacles, a couple. I mean, the biggest thing is just that they don't believe in switchbacks here. Everything is straight up and straight down. And it's almost a detriment, you know. Some of that's fine, but you could extend the trail a little bit and see some beautiful things, extend the trail a little. and not have it be so brutal. I mean, we're stopping. I think this trail is something that I would probably consider maybe only doing earlier in the spring and later in the fall, or a winter hike would. Yeah, we're stopping quite a bit just to take breaks, because in the heat you really get worn out pretty quick. So I mean, we're going through a ton of water. If you're doing this trail in the summertime, you really got to get your water caches right, because there's no water on trail and you're going through a lot of it. You know, we're carrying 3 liters right now, and we've got to get through, you know, 7-8 miles at least before we hit the next water stop. So we're going to go through every bit of that 3 liters over that period of time, just because of all the hills and the descent, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's beautiful. I mean, I love this trail. This is really awesome, and I love that it's a challenge. It's just summertime. Adds a couple factors that you got to take into consideration. So I'm glad we did it now, but I'd really like to come back and try this in the fall or the winter, probably after the leaves have come down, because there's got to be some spectacular views, especially over towards Indian Creek and out towards the Ohio shelter, that we just couldn't see a whole lot because of the growth. So, well, we're gonna load back up here and get back on trail, cross 462 and head to the northwest section of the trail, and I will check back in a little bit. Oh, what do I see? Woohoo! There's the road crossing. This is going to be a major spot that people start and stop from. The lot here on 462. It's also going to be a major water cache spot, because a lot of people come in this main road coming down to the state park anyway. So you have 462 here, and if you look down there, you can actually see where Old Forest Road branches off to the left, and that takes you down to the water cache where we were 2.1 miles ago. So we're going to cross here, get to the other side, take a look. This little gravel lot. Harrison-Crawford State Forest Adventure Hiking Trail. Emphasis on the adventure. So here's what this little lot looks like. So you've got a spot for maybe a car or two there, and then that's a horse trail going off in that direction. So you could probably leave a few cars in here. Let's see, this says Fox Hollow Crossing 2.5 miles to Modern Campground 6.5 miles. That's where we're headed, so we got 6.5 miles to go according to that guy.
It's an adventure.
Every day, every second. Alright, we've come up this little horse trail, and then the adventure hiking trail splits off. 1.5 miles to the Roundezvous Point, where it'll split to the right up to the old barn and that parking lot, and to the left to continue the loop. So 1.5 miles on this section. Do you take the safe trail or the adventure? Ooh, these are a little wobbly. You'll never know. All right, we took our break here at the intersection of the trails. The loop goes around this way, and then behind me, or behind the camera, is the section of the trail that goes out to the parking lot by the old barn. So this is what that is. The Rendezvous Point, I think, is what it's called on the signs. And we're going to head off west and see if we can't finish out this loop. We should be under 5 miles to go. Slow going up the climbs. You call that a switchback? Kinda? I mean, it's kinda low,
Yeah, slight bend.
you know?
I don't think it's a switchback. I think there was just a tree in their way.
Could be.
It's an adventure on the adventure hiking trail.
Dun, dun, dun. This section's actually been pretty nice from the Roundezvous Point westbound. Definitely been a crew through here recently to knock down all the brush. So grass isn't really that high. You can tell it's been taken care of. Much easier trail, not so much issue with ticks and things like that because of that. So really quite nice. Yeah, there's a little water down there in this section of creek. Even as dry as it's been here the last week or so.
Found water on the HD. Pretty cool.
Just came that way up a big climb. River should be down below. We're going to loop around here and then drop back down to the river. Should take us over by the old iron bridge. And then back around for the climb to the campground, and we're done. So not too much further to go.
Home stretch.
But man, that was a brutal climb up that back that way. All right, onward. All right, so we're coming up on a side trail, a little horse trail, that I think is where we did our water drop. So this is the one that's, you have to hike down a little ways to get to. So this is the adventure hiking trail, continues this way. And then if you take that trail, it'll take you a little ways down, quarter of a mile or so to a gravel road or so. And then you hike up the gravel road up to the top of the ridge, which is the main road right by the sassafras shelter before you get to the guardhouse for the entrance to the campground. So we hiked down before we started and dropped some water right down over here so that, again, our waters are spread out. So I'm at half a liter left out of 3 liters that we picked up at Old Forest Road, and we've got 1 more liter here that we'll pick up and then take over around Old Iron Bridge and then climb back up to the campground. So that should be enough to get us that last 3+ miles or so. So down here there's a little trail marker post, and that tree that's right behind it is where we stashed our water. Let's hope it's still there. Let's see what I found.
So this is the adventure hiking trail.
Yeah, it gets a little overgrown at times. So yeah, this is pretty tall. trail though. Can't see much in front of yourself. Lovely. Any ticks? Looks like I got one or two on my pants. I'm going to take those off. Put my camera down.
Through the cordon jungle.
Yeah. If you were 20 yards in front of me, I wouldn't be able to see you, Brent.
Yeah. It's like a game, man. Wait, where's Waldo out here?
Yeah, I would lose that game. Because literally, he'd go and it'd be like, okay, you're gone pretty much. Can you see him? I don't.
Just do a little.
Hey, there he is.
A little bulldozing for you, that's all.
Walk along the bottom now here. This should take us out close to the river. It's a little overgrown down here too though. Alright, we're coming out of that crap. Excuse my French. And we are at the site of the old iron bridge. See the river down below. We have not been close to the river, close enough to get water. So, looks like if you wanted to, you could probably get down there to the water's edge, although it's a little steep bank. And it's pretty murky. Alright, time to take the packs off. Take a 15-minute break and get some water. That is the old iron bridge. I'm pooped. This has been an awesome trail, but it is physically exhausting. Today's a long day. You know, doing 12 miles or so has been a lot. So be really excited to finish up, have this last mile up to the campground, and then a little ways back to the car, and then we can start shuttling around to pick up our water bottles that we stashed that we're not carrying. So pretty cool, but I am worn out. We're already talking about stopping and getting a cheeseburger and maybe a milkshake. I'm starving too. I did my food before this and probably underpacked a little bit for not the duration, but just the physical demands that this is going to be. I'm burning a lot more calories, I think, than I anticipated, and my body's showing it. So I want to eat a lot more than I brought, even though what I brought should be fine for a normal hike. So, you know, lesson learned. So I'm gonna go sit down and enjoy the view for a few minutes before we gotta do the final mile or so back to camp. So I'll check back in later. Should be our last climb. Any last words?
It's been an adventure.
It's been an adventure. It has. This is it, the end of the climb and the end of our loop. This is the other spot to cache some water here. This is the horseman's camp up above us, and this is the connector trail that heads maybe 100 yards up to the camp, and there's a shower house and there are water connections up there, so if you don't necessarily want to drop water, you just want to have this be a resupply, you can literally walk up to the campsite and then come back down and head that way on the trail. That's where we started, heading that way, so we are heading back up here to finish it off. Woohoo! This is what you find right at the end of that little connector trail, woodshed, shower house. And if you look there on the other side of that, there's a red water pump right there. So, all right. Well, we made it back to the car. We are there. Long day, awesome 3 days. First time adventure hiking trail. Thoughts on it? It's amazingly challenging terrain. There's even some sections where switchbacks probably make some sense and they don't bother. They're going to go straight up over the hill and down the other side. So you gotta be ready for that stuff. Ticks, yeah, they were bad, but they were only bad in a couple spots. They were really bad in the section from Cold Friday Road around to Indian Creek. That section of trail, horrible. All over. We were stopping constantly to brush them off. And then there was one section just past Old Forest Road on the way to 462. A small little section, 200 yards or so, where walked through some tall grasses and had 3 or 4 on me. Other than that, it was very minimal the whole rest of the way around the trail. So I wouldn't say they're bad. I'd say they're bad in a couple spots. The other thing I'd say is get your water caches figured out. That's the biggest thing on this trail without having water, and the spacing is a little weird. So look at my suggestions, some of the best spots so that they're spread out, and then figure out how much you're going to need. That's going to be the biggest thing. We had 2 drops of a gallon each and 2 drops of an extra liter each, and then we started off carrying 2 liters. So that worked well. I've even got a liter left over, so but I wouldn't have done it any different. It's you know, mid 80s, low 80s, so I was burning through a lot of water just as much as I was sweating to regulate temperature. So if you're doing it in the fall or the winter, you may not need quite as much, but the terrain also does push you quite a bit. So awesome time, highly recommend it. Check out those campsites, those water cache spots. If you get those down, it's a fun trail. It's got a lot of different things that you're not going to find other places, especially in Indiana. So very cool. Thanks so much for watching, and all the information again is going to be down below. If you've done the trail, let me know, and what were your thoughts on the trail. What do you got there? You got snacks?
Snacks. That was for you, man.
That's for me?
Looking out for you.
All right, well, we're going to stop and get some cheeseburgers and fries and a milkshake too. But again, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Be well.